This is War of the Suns, the Chinese War of Resistance, 1937 to 1945. We'll have a quick look at the rules for movement. Now, amazingly, this section is pretty straightforward in the fact that movement works the way it does in most games. Your individual units have a movement allowance, which is the rightmost number at the bottom here. And there's a terrain effects chart, and you basically just move through the hex grid. There are penalties for movement if you go over the effective stacking limits and exit a hex. There's also penalties to movement if you move into a zone of control of an enemy unit. Your movement is halved if you're out of supply. There are other, I think a couple of other factors similar to that which do affect your movement. Yeah, if you're only partially commanded, you've been activated by an HQ that puts you into partial command, you take a movement penalty as well. So if you're 4 or less, it's -1, and if you're 5 or more, it's -2. Apart from that, the actual movement's pretty straightforward. There's a thing called a movement mode where you can put a unit into that mode, and that will allow you to move double your movement allowance. There are restrictions on that though, about you can't enter enemy zones of control, and you must move along controlled hexes and things like that. So you can't just use that on any unit at all. It's very much strategic movement in the background. Another thing to remember, if you are using movement mode and you get attacked, your attack and defense strength are reduced to 0. Other types of movement, there are 3 other movements groups. There's movement along the rivers. If you see these major rivers that have these blue lines running through them, you can actually move along those using river transport. There's 3 river transport areas. There's the Yangtze river capacity, the West River capacity, and the one down south, which is the Irrawaddy capacity. I'm trying to think where the West River one is. I think it's along this river here. Okay, now you can actually extend these. Actually, no, that's the Yangtze River. This is the West River here. Okay, now you can actually extend these by doing sort of engineering actions on them. You can that represents setting up river pilots, dredging stuff, and removing obstacles, etc. So they're not absolutely fixed, your river transport. You can only use these transports if you've got enough capacity available. Your capacity is done in stacking points. Okay, you've also got rail. To enter river transport costs you 2 movement points. Then you can move infinitely down the river, and when you can leave the river movement, and any remaining movement points that you've got, you can carry on with that. Rail movement works pretty similar. There's a rail capacity for each side, and it costs you 2 movement points to enter rail thing, but you've got to obviously start on a rail hex, though you can move from an unrail hex to a rail hex, spend your 2 points, and then start moving down the rail. You can do that in infinite amounts, but yet again, you've got to be careful of enemy zones of control. You can't cross hex sides that are forbidden. You can't go into hexes, and you obviously have to stick to the railway line as well. Yet again, once you've done your rail movement, you can carry on moving with any remaining movement points you've got. So in theory, yeah, you could move down the rail, then come off the rail and actually move into an enemy zone of control and actually attack it. Other type of movement is you've got sea transport. Sea transport really allows you to move. It's really the Allies and the Japanese, and you can just move from a holding box or a sea zone or port to any sea area on the board. Yeah, again, it costs you 2 points to enter, and then you can go and you can land in a friendly controlled hex, or you can do an amphibious assault. That's only available if there's enough sea capacity available to do the job. Air transport's also available. A ground unit in an airbase or city may initiate air transport and be transported to another hex by spending the required movement points or affecting air transport requires at least one friendly air unit with enough payload remaining to actually perform the air flight mission. The destination hex of the transported unit must be within the operational radius of the air unit. Okay, there are 3 different types of air transport: airlift from one place to another, air drop, which is the parachutes guys, and glider landings, which is for the glider based units. That pretty much covers movement, which amazingly enough for this game isn't particularly problematical or complex.